Good morning. Welcome to Northwest Air Guns. I'm John, and today we're going to make some check valves for the Benjamin and Sheridan pumpers. Okay, so what we're talking about with the check valve is right here. And this is an old Benjamin 312, but it's the same check valve in the other Benjamin pump-ups and in the Sheridan, the old Streaks and the C's. Up until the 1990s, they used this style. And so you pump the air into the tube, it pushes the seal off of the seat, and when you stop pumping, the spring pressure and the pressure of the air you pumped in pushes it back against the seat and seals it so the air can't get out. And we've all seen these as what they look like. And lately I've been getting a few back in from people who've tried to rebuild their own guns, which I encourage people to do, but they couldn't get it to seal right, or it didn't pump up right, or air was leaking out the intake valve or check valve. And so what I find is that some of the synthetic material is coming out and getting cattywonker. So anyway, that's the problem now. I don't know that they're making any of these new. I think most of the ones you see are rebuilt. And really, to do it properly, you would flare this a little bit somehow. You take the material out, flare it, put your seal back in, and then crimp it. And I don't have a tool to do that. But if you do have these and you want to use them, it's not a bad idea to crimp it a little bit yourself. And you can get just a chunk of steel and a 7/16 inch drill bit and drill a hole so that the brass just protrudes very slightly out of that recess. And then you can get a chunk of steel or something and a hammer and give it a couple good whacks, and that'll tend to crimp that in place. Some of the old Benjamin hammers, actually, from the old 312s and stuff, have a chamfer or a bevel here, and that's actually a good fit for these brass check valves. And you can do the same thing, but give them a few whacks. Guys used to do that, the ones who rebuilt these things. They'd sit there and take an afternoon and just crimp them so they stay in place. Myself, I prefer to use these synthetic valves, check valves. And I get these from Mach 1 Air Guns, but his website's down, and until he gets his new website up, this is the last one I got. So we're going to go ahead and make some of these. Now these are made out of PTFE material, which I have here, and this is 7/16 inch. We're going to use this, we're going to turn it down just a little bit, take a few thousandths off so it'll fit into the tube a little bit better, down in here. And we're going to use the lathe, and we ground a special lathe tool just to do this. Okay, now I can't throw anything away, so I have a coffee can here labeled bad parts, and I had several of these old synthetic valves, check valves, that I'd taken out of other guns, and I don't like to reuse them when I can avoid it, so I toss them into the bad parts. I cut one in half so we could get a look at the profile here on it. Let me come in a little closer. Okay, so if you look at this, you can see there's actually a recess here. It's got the little knob in the middle, and then it's recessed to the outer diameter here. So I ground a tool so that we could come in on the lathe and cut that, get the same profile as best we can. So that's what we're going to do. Let's head over to the lathe and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of clean up the end here. We could use a facing tool. That would be perfectly fine. But we're going to use the parting tool to cut it off, so I'm just cheating a little bit. All right, now we're going to go in and find roughly where the edge of that is. Yeah, right about there, I guess. And take it in. There we go. Now what happens is that flared it just a hair, and we want to take the dimension down just a little bit anyway, so it'll fit in the tube better. I'm just going in to see where I start making a mark on it. Right about there. Okay, and now back to the cutoff tool. And what we're going to do here, we want to go about 1/4 of an inch over. That gives us 125 thousandths for the width of the blade, plus another 125 or 1/8 of an inch for the seal itself. And so I just use a piece of paper here. It's kind of a shortcut, I guess. If we were doing something super precision, I might do it a little differently. Okay, so that tells us roughly where the edge is. And then we're going to take this in, what did I say, 250 thousandths. There's 1, 250, and we'll take just a little bit extra, 275. Lock down our carriage. And okay, here we go. And there it is. Now, if I wanted to, well, actually I don't even have to stop it. You can push this out a little further, and you're ready to do the next one through the same 3 tools that we used here. All right, let's see if we can get this thing working. Here's our new seal. I've already got the pump arm adjusted, and we'll drop. Well, actually, one thing you have to do with these, if they're not already marked, you have to put a mark on them. So you can tell, once they get down in there, you can't see if they're upside down or right side up or what. So we'll go ahead and drop this down in there. You know, the odds are 50-50. But they rarely drop in there on the first time. Okay, now we got to tap it down. So I've got a rod here. And we're going to get our hammer, and I'm just going to tap this off camera here. And that basically sets the seal. All right, well, the proof is in the pudding. We've got everything in there. See if it pumps up. And it does. All right, there's 2 pumps. Let's try a few more here. One. It doesn't appear to be leaking, so we'll go ahead and pump it up another 3 or 4, or I guess we'll pump it up to 8 and let it sit overnight and make sure that that seal is holding. And otherwise, I think we're done. All right, we've had the gun pumped up here sitting overnight. The arm is pretty much where it was when we left it last night. Let's see if it holds any air. And it does. So that's a good thing. So our seal worked, and now we can go ahead and put this back together. Well, we're done. We've got it all back together, and everything seems to work good. Pumps up, holds air, so it's a success. And we did it with one of our homemade check valves, the seal. So it's up to you, but if you need to get a seal like this, you can spend $5, $6, $8, whatever it is, whenever Tim McMurray gets his Mac1AG.com website back up and running. Or you can spend thousands of dollars and buy machinery and put hours into learning how to use it, and you can make your own. Decisions up to you. All right, well, thanks for watching.